Hello friends. Now in this presentation, we are going to discuss about the safety appraisal and control techniques, which is a part of quality control in safety. Now, from the name itself, we can understand what exactly the safety appraisal is. Normally, we are knowing about the employee appraisal, that is for regular increment, promotion, etc. So in the normal appraisal of all the employees in all the organizations are, they are going to check the performance of the employee from the supervisory level, from the managerial level, from the different department perspective, or from different views, depending on the designation and the job profile of that person. So suppose if the employee is worker or helper category, then the supervisor may observe the different things like punctuality, the performance, the effectiveness, the completion of that particular task within a period, etc. So likewise, now in the safety appraisal, we have to check the performance of a particular operation, of a particular equipment, of a particular machinery, of a particular department from the safety point of view. So that is why it is called as safety appraisal. So for that purpose, there are different techniques or methods available for checking the effectiveness, checking the performance, and then we have to adopt some corrective measures. So that is nothing but a safety appraisal system is. And there are different techniques which we will discuss in the presentation later on. So in this presentation, we are going to discuss about the damage control, safe operating systems, safety checklist, safety tax systems, PSI, that is plant safety inspection, safety sampling, safety surveys, safety tours, safety inventory system, product safety, and TLC, that is total loss control. So these are the different parameters which are the measurement points for the safety appraisals, and that is why we must know about all these parameters, what exactly the concept or the meaning of that parameter is, and how to measure these parameters. So depending on these parameters output, safety appraisal systems gives us the outcome or the output from that system. So the to appraise means to set a value on. So safety appraisal, we have already discussed about the appraisal systems for the employee. Now it is for the plant, that may be for the machinery, that may be for the process or some other things. So if you are going to check, if you are going to measure some values, some parameters in terms of their effectiveness, performance, maintenance, and control techniques, then it is called as safety appraisals. So this system or method, practice, or procedure to measure the safety performance or standards for the purpose of evaluating its effectiveness, reliability, to find out the drawbacks or the deficiency, if any, to suggest the safety measures to raise its safety value. So we have to check the safety value of that plant or that machinery or that department, etc. And for that purpose, we have to measure some parameters, we have to adopt some practices, we have to follow some procedures, and then we can exactly conclude that this much of performance is for that machinery or for that plant. So from the safety performance point of view, if there is loophole, if there is lacuna in that system, in that machinery, in that plant, then we have to rectify, we have to correct that procedure, method, or something else, so that when the next time the safety appraisal is going on, then that lacunas, then loopholes should be eliminated from the previous or the old systems, right? So for that purpose, there are different appraisal techniques are available, like qualitative, quantitative, preventive, and corrective. So from the name itself, you can understand what exactly the appraisal systems or the method means. That is qualitative. So we have to check the quality aspects from the safety point of view for that machinery, for that plant, for that procedures or the methods. So to check this safety aspect from the quality point of view, we have to conduct some inspections, audits, reviews, analysis, study, etc. So with the help of these different techniques, we can analyze, we can measure the performance of that plant with the help of this qualitative appraisal. So in the qualitative appraisal, we are going to check the quality of that plant or machinery or the method with the help of these different techniques. Then the next one is quantitative. So from the name itself, again it is clearly indicate that we are interested in the quantities, we are interested in the number, we are interested in the statistical data. So for that purpose, we have to calculate, we have to measure some of the parameters like accident frequency, then severity, incidence, and their index rate. So there are different formulas which are available for calculating this frequency rate, severity rate, incident rate, or some other parameters which clearly indicates what exactly the accidents performance in your company. So if the accident rate, if the severity rate, if the FSI index is low, it means the accidents number is very less, the severity of that hazard or of that accident is less, then your company's performance is good. And likewise, we have to measure and show the different statistical data or graphical data in terms of different parameters. So that is nothing but the quantitative appraisal. So the different aspects of these parameters we have already discussed in one of the videos. That video clearly indicates the concept or meaning or the definition of these parameters, formula of these parameters, the different examples with some calculations for the calculation or the comparison of company's performance as per as the accident is concerned. So all these things are already discussed in detail in one of the video. Then the third one is preventive appraisal. So to prevent the accident, to prevent the incident, we have to take care, and for that safety measure, precautionary measure should be followed. So for that purpose, we have to inspect some of the things, we have to adopt some of the techniques. So the techniques may be plant safety sampling, that may be a safety survey, that may be a FTA, that is fault tree analysis, risk analysis, and some of the studies can be done like HAZOP study, that is hazard operability study, then HAZAN study, that is hazard analysis study, then safety inventory, system safety, safety standards, safety permit systems, safety tags, and lockout, that is nothing but a LOTO system, lockout and tag out. Then safety steward systems are used for this purpose. So we have already discussed all these parameters in different videos. In one of the video, we have discussed in detail what exactly the LOTO system is. In one of the video, we have discussed about the safety permit systems. In one of the video, we have discussed about the HAZOP and HAZAN. And in other videos, we have discussed about these different analysis techniques in detail with their flow charts, formulas, and with examples, right? So for this presentation, I would like to brief you regarding these techniques or the tools, what exactly we are going to use for this type of appraisals. So this is the preventive appraisals. So inspection can be done by the plant personnel, safety officer, safety experts, then factory inspector must be utilized for this objective because their experiences, their knowledge, and their viewpoint may be different from the other persons. So the safety persons should be involved in this type of inspection to measure the different parameters as far as the preventive appraisal is concerned. Then the fourth one is corrective appraisals. So we can understand this is the flow that first we must check the quality from the safety point of view. Then we must understand and calculate the different quantities. Then we have to take some precautionary measures. And if it is not happen, if it is not corrected, then we have to take the corrective actions, right? So if after following the precautionary measure, still if any accident or incident happen in industry, then we have to correct some of the practices, some of the techniques, or we have to adopt some of the methods or some personal protective equipments. So whatever the corrective action is there, that should be involved, that should be measured, that should be clearly indicate that we must need the corrective appraisals. So it includes the corrective maintenance after any accident takes place or any defect detected. So the maintenance normally may be in mechanical type of maintenance, that may be in a electrical maintenance. So depending on the type of accidents, so if it is related to the electrical, then it is electrical maintenance. If it is related to the mechanical, then it is a mechanical maintenance. So we have to take the correction for that type of maintenance. If such damage or injury valuation and repairing is not carried out, it will continue the interruption of activity. So if it is not done as per the norms, then again there are chances of accidents and there are chances of severe accidents as compared to the old one, because we are not going to follow the safety practices, we are not going to correct that particular maintenance, we are not going to correct that particular machinery or the practice which should be adopted as far as the safety experts are concerned. Accident investigation, then analysis, identification, the key facts, accident potential and causes, applications of the remedy, that is nothing but the corrective actions, are carried out for this objective. So these are the different techniques or methods which should be adopted for the corrective appraisal. So after an accident, we have to go for accident investigation, because from this investigation only we can understand what exactly the root cause of this accident, how to avoid these types of causes in future, how to reduce the severity of these types of accidents, and how to eliminate these types of hazard, and all these things can be done after only the accident investigation. So from the analysis itself, we have to adopt some techniques or we have to rectify some methods or the procedures, that may be a safety operating procedures, etc. Because in some of the SOPs, there may be some loopholes or lacunas present in the step-by-step procedure, or that may be in the sequence of the steps of that procedures, and that should be rectified first. So these are the different techniques or the appraisal types, that may be a qualitative, quantitative, preventive, and corrective. Then for the parameters, we must understand what exactly the damage control is. So we heard a damage word in various aspects, in various points. So this damage mainly related to the financial aspects or the property damage when we are talking about the safety, right? So this damage means the severity of injury or physical, functional or monetary loss that could result if control of a hazard is lost. So mainly when we are talking about damage control, so it is related to the financial losses. Sometimes it is related to the injury or the physical damage, body parts or some other issues, but mainly it is related to the financial losses. So damage control is directly concerned with the protection of machinery, materials and manufactured goods assets from the accidental loss within the factory. So as I have mentioned that it is a financial loss, it is a property damage, and that is why we have to concentrate on the protection of the machinery, materials or some other goods which is involved in the process. So indirectly it is concerned with the money assets, manpower assets. The modern definition of accident is clearly indicating that an unintended event that results in physical harm to a person or damage to property. So in the accident definition again clearly indicate the first focus is on the person and the second one is on the property damage, right? So we are talking about the property damage part. So unreporting or underreporting of damage accident, no statutory requirement and failure to set up a realistic problem to damage control are other barriers. So in the Factory Act or in the rules or in different types of legal requirement, there is clearly no exact requirement for these damage control systems or damage accident reporting systems. And that is why there may be a lacuna in the reporting systems and in the corrections or the rectification system as far as the damage control system is there. And therefore damage control problems should be properly recognized to prevent all accident causing damage to plant, machinery, equipment, tools, building and other property. So damage may be to these types of properties. Then the loss of quantity or quality of materials during storage, handling and transport, and delay to process functions or activity due to the need of repair or the replacement. So these are the different adverse effect due to these accident or incident issues and due to the damage control. Because if an accident is happen, then where exactly that accident is happen, if it is a big machinery or important machinery which is a part of that production or the process, then we have to wait for the restart of that particular process or restart of that production, and for that purpose we required some time to inspect each and everything, each and every parameter from the safety point of view. And whatever the accident is happen, so that may be unsafe condition due to unsafe conditions or due to unsafe act, but whatever the property damage is there, so that loss may be in terms of quantity or that may be in terms of quality. So all these things are in terms of the property damage systems, right? So we have to take care about these damage controlling systems and we have to follow some precautionary measures, and for that purpose we should go for the damage control schemes. So what exactly the damage control scheme is? So we have to control the damages. So we have to control the property damages, right? What exactly the benefits of these schemes are? The reduction in potential accidents and chance of injury accidents. So we are going to reduce the chances of accidents in near future. Then reduction in severe injuries, production delay and cost of maintenance, replacement and damaged materials. Then detection of unsafe conditions, unsafe actions which may contribute to the injuries. So we are going to find out the different unsafe conditions and unsafe actions in your factory. Then increase of quality control, profit, importance and status of safety organization, awareness of supervisors and management to control the property damage. As it is not a clear-cut legal requirement to make and report this property damage detailing, that is why generally the supervisors or the management is not going to focus on these property damage controlling schemes. So this is the point where we can improve in this area, and with the help of some techniques or the methods we can take the benefits of these damage control systems. So suggestions of remedial measures to prevent the recurrence. As we have already discussed, after an accident, we must go for the accident investigation systems, and from the accident investigation systems, the part which is related to the property damage that should be studied, and whatever the causes of that accidents are, that should be prevented in the near future to avoid, to reduce the loss of the material, loss of machinery, loss of time. So these are the different benefits of the damage control schemes. Then the good damage control program contains the spot checking, damage reporting and investigation, damage costing and auditing, and some other parameters. The spot checking means on that spot itself we have to check, we have to inspect, we have to observe the different points why this damage occurs. So it includes visiting repair centers, making observations and taking notes. So from this point we have to learn a lot to avoid, to prevent the different types of accidents or incident in the near future. Then damage reporting and investigation. So it is all unplanned and unintended happenings likely to cause personal injury must be reported by workers and supervisors to the management. Such cases should be properly investigated and corrected. So if any person get injury due to some of the wrong practices, wrong procedures, or not wearing the personal protective equipment, so whatever may be the reason, if the injury is there, then we should report to the supervisor, we should report to the management indirectly what exactly happened, why it is happened, and if there are chances of accident, if there are chances of property damage, then that should be studied seriously. So that is why this reporting and investigation is important. Then damage costing and auditing. So we have to calculate the cost of this damage. We have to conduct the audit for this damage costing, so that we can understand due to this type of causes, due to this type of reasons, how much cost is invested, how much losses or of the machinery or the materials or the raw materials are there, or whether the quality of that material is degraded due to this accident or incidents. So that should be indicated by the capital D, that is damage, and their record must be maintained. So full-time damage control inspector can audit all work orders, conduct regular inspections, spot checking repair centers, and analyzing damage cost factors. So calculations or the computations of this direct and indirect cost of damage accident should be carried out as explained. We have already discussed in detail about this direct costing and indirect costing as far as the accident is concerned, and here the formula is given, that is cost severity rate. So that is nothing but the ratio of total cost of accident to the total production man hour into 10 raised to 6. So this is should be read as 10 raised to 6. That is the multiplying factor, and this is the ratio, that is total cost of accident to the total production man hours. So this is nothing but the cost severity rate. It means this ratio or the calculation clearly indicates that how much severity is there or how much cost severity is there due to this accident damage. So that is cost severity rate. Then the next parameter is SOP. So that is standard operating procedure. And now from the safety point of view, it may be read as safety operating procedure. So SOP is a set of written instruction describing the steps of safe working method and standard engineering practices for hazardous job or frequently required industrial activity. So sometimes in some of the industries, the punching of different metals or the grinding or the welding or some other practices, depending on the process requirement, if all these operations are carried out on a day-to-day basis, then we have to follow the SOPs. So generally these SOPs are designed by the manufacturer of that machinery, because whatever the design factors they have considered or assumed while designing that particular machinery, that is why they are the right persons to design the SOPs for that machinery, right? So that SOP should be followed by that operator, and the training of that machinery operation should be given by the manufacturer or the suppliers to the industrial persons or the operators who are going to operate that machinery. So basically the hazardous works or frequently required jobs need these standard and safe operating procedures. If they are well defined and described beforehand and available in the form of ready-made documents, they are most useful to plant people for easy use. So if it is clearly indicate, if it is clearly defined, if it is clearly displayed in the local language as well, then we can easily follow these SOPs. Then such procedures are useful in avoiding and reducing the accidents. It describes technical as well as administrative operating instructions from the management, and it is designed by duly qualified and well experienced technical persons in the plant. So if the SOPs are not designed or not supplied by the manufacturer or a supplier, then we have to prepare these SOPs from the qualified and well experienced persons which are available in the plant. If it is needed, we can opt for the help from the different expertise from the different companies or even from the government departments. It should be amended and updated based on the experience of its use. SOP standardize work procedures and avoid variations among different workers. So it establishes uniformity and safety in working methods. It ensures that the same work is done in the same way by all workers safely and efficiently. So that is the points which is related to the SOPs. That is, SOP means standard or safe operating procedures for that machinery or for that plant, for that department itself. So it should be written correctly. Step should be chronological one. If not written correctly, then you have to correct all these steps. You have to check the sequence of these steps, and the best written SOP may fail if not followed. So even if the best sequence, the best steps and the local language or some symbols or pictorial presentation is also there, but if it is not followed by the operator, then there is no use of these SOPs. So copies of these SOPs should be ready available in work areas so that they can be readily used. Then SOPs are useful to prevent the shortcuts, wrong habits, and unsafe practices. So we are going to reduce the chances of accident again, as we are going to reduce the chances of unsafe practices or wrong practices in the handling of these types of machineries. Then the format of SOP should be written in a well-designed format. Then it should be easy to understand. It should clarify its purpose, method of use, tools, equipment, and PP necessary, work permit to be used if any, etc. Steps and sub-steps should be well arranged. SOP should have title, then serial number, ID number, date of preparation, date and number of revisions, steps and procedures, action by whom, and remarks. So SOP should get approval from the top management, including the safety department. It should be reviewed and revised. So the checklist can be used to prepare the SOPs. So these are the different guidelines for making the SOPs, and from this guideline we can easily prepare the SOP if the person is qualified and experienced one. Then the next parameter for the safety appraisal is safety checklist. So the process or a system checklist are used to identify common hazards and ensure compliance with standard procedures. That is nothing but the safety checklist. So safety checklist may be prepared by the plant personnel itself, because the plant persons are the persons who are knowing about in detail about that plants, about that machinery, about that wiring systems, about the maintenance part and other things. So only the plant personnels who are qualified and experienced one as far as the safety is concerned can prepare their own checklist for observing the different activities which is carried out in the plant itself. So a checklist is a convenient means of communicating minimum acceptance level, hazard evaluation. It can be used as a detail and specific situations. So sometimes we have to observe or we have to prepare the checklist only for the electrical hazards. We have to prepare the checklist for the chemical hazards. We have to prepare the checklist for the mechanical hazards. We have to prepare the checklist for the in and out of the materials from the main gate entry to the main gate exit. We have to prepare the checklist for the storage of these types of chemicals, etc. So there are variety of checklist which can be prepared and which can be available in the plant. So that checklist should be regularly audited and updated. They provide results quickly. So these checklists are complementary to the inspection technique and makes the inspection more perfect, speedy and systematic. There are so many checklists designed in various ways and differing from the plant to plant, person to person, based on their knowledge and experience. So even though it is a small scale, medium scale or large scale industry, but sometimes the hazard or the severity of the hazard may be the same. Suppose we are handling some hazardous chemicals in the same quantity and the same concentration in small scale as well as in the large scale industry, then we have to take care or follow the safe operating procedures for handling, for storing or for processing these types of chemicals. So that may be a small industry, that may be a large scale industry. So we have to prepare these types of checklist for all types of industries. So that is depending on the material which we are handling or storing, or whatever the machineries which we are using, or whatever the operations which we are carried in the day-to-day life. So the industries, plant, process, equipment, tools and machines, wise checklist, and those for good housekeeping occupy the volumes. So the checklist may be from the industry point of view, checklist may be from the plant point of view, checklist may be from the process point of view, that may be from the equipment point of view, tools point of view, machine wise, etc. So there are variety of checklist may be prepared or available for the different types of operations. So this safety checklist for the plant inspection. So there are variety of parameters that should be checked while checking or while inspecting or while observing these things as far as this safety is concerned. So with the help of this checklist, we can observe the environmental factors that may be unhealthy conditions because of stress, that may be a wear, impact, vibrations, heat, corrosion, reactions, misuse of neglect, etc. So these are the variety of parameters which is covered under the environmental factors. So from that point of view, we have to check the different parameters with the help of different techniques and different tools or the instruments. So for the vibration measurement, we have to use the vibration analyzers. For the heat measurement, we have to use some temperature measuring devices. We have to use some gauges for measuring the pressure, measuring the corrosion, etc. And for different stresses, we have to adopt some methods or the techniques. Then as far as the machineries are concerned, some pinch points, catch points, shear points, squeeze points, run-in points, operation points, etc. should be observed, and that should be added in the checklist point of view as far as the machineries are concerned. So the power transmissions, these are shafts, belts, gears, pulleys, electric power, unsafe starting or stopping mechanisms, and machine guarding should be observed. So all these things should be observed. If you find that immediate action is required, then you can also suggest to rectify these things like guarding. So if there is a rotating machinery, there is a knife or some other edges which can be harmful to the persons while conducting these types of operation, or if there are chances of accident, then you should notify, you should communicate to the supervisor or the plant head of that plant. So that is related to the machinery. So these are the different parameters that should be involved in the safety checklist. So we are not going in detail what exactly the checklist is, how the checklist is prepared, whether it should be in the box type, whether it should be in the question formats, or whether it is in the detailed question answer format or other things. So we are only focusing on the parameter which is should be involved in that type of checklist. So for example, the tools checklist. So the wrong tool for the job, tool in unsafe condition or placed in unsafe position, hazardous or defective hand tools and machine tools, etc. So all these parameters should be involved in the tools checklist. Sometimes we need some anti-static tools that should be used in the specific area. So for example, if you are working in the petroleum products tanks, that may be a process, that may be a storage or handling of hydrocarbons, and if all these things are flammable or explosive and there are chances of fire or explosion, then we should adopt the anti-static tools to avoid the static charges which may be ignition source for that fire or explosions, right? So sometimes in the construction activity also there are chances of falling of that tools from a particular height. So we must hold that particular tool in a proper way. So these are the different points which should be added in the tools checklist. Likewise, in the work area checklist, we should add flooring uneven or obstructed or slippery, cramped quarters, exposure to traffic, insecure, etc. All these things should be checked when we are observing the flooring, right? So there are maybe chances of piles of some materials or raw material or waste, etc. or overhead material may be there. Sometimes poor illumination may be observed by the supervisors. So we have to add some light source in that area. Then sometimes there may be a chances of glare. So we have to avoid the glass or glass type structures. Then sometimes there may be a temperature on a higher side which is not comfortable for the persons who are working in that area. So for example, that may be a foundry condition, that may be a furnace condition, that may be a heat exchanger, etc., where the temperatures are high. So in the foundry or in the steel industries, the temperature requirement in that process itself, it is 1200 degrees Celsius. So we can understand the temperature in that area, the hazards, that is the hazards related to the heat, and sometimes the hazard may be related to the cold also. So in some of the refrigerant plants, in some of the refrigerant processes, there are chances of the temperatures below 25 degrees Celsius or below 0 degrees Celsius also, because some of the refrigerants are having the properties that their boiling point is in the minus. So we have to take care about all these things, and that is why the checkpoints should be added in that checklist of that particular area. So only the persons who are working in that area are experts to know about their parameters, to know about their harms, to know about their hazards and the severity of that particular points. And that is why the checklist should be prepared by discussing with the all peoples which are present in that work area. So that may be a exposure to the gases, that may be exposure to the dust, fumes, vapors, etc. Then the hazards from nearby operations, that may be a flying or falling objects, some electrical, chemical, radiations, and tree fall hazards may be present in that area. That may be a workspace as well, platforms, stairs, railings, spillage, exits, doors, roofs, roadways, yards, etc. So depending on the type of industry, depending on the type of operation, depending on the type of machinery, depending on the type of materials which we are going to handle, depending on that only the hazards are categorized, and depending on that hazard only we can go for the checklist for that work area as a safety checklist tool. Then the other examples for this checklist are material handling. So we can understand what are the parameters to be involved in that material handling. That is a nature of material or objects heavy. That may be a unwidely, rough, sharp, hot, corrosive, explosive, toxic, etc. These are the different material characteristics. So depending on that characteristics, we have to take care about that material handling, how to handle these types of material in a safer way. So for example, if you are handling the toxic chemicals, then we have to use the gas mask or self-contained breathing apparatus or some other types of personal protective equipment depending on the toxicity level and the toxic exposure of that chemicals. So likewise, if you are going to handle the hot substances or the corrosive substances, then we have to use some personal protective equipment which can be protect the body parts, which can protect the properties from these heat or from these corrosive characteristics. So likewise, there are different checklists and their solution should be involved in the safety checklist part. So unsafe handling of equipments, lifts, hoist, chain pulley, blocks, containers, conveyors, trucks, cranes, derricks, transport vehicles, elevators, chains, cables, slings, and handling methods may be available there, or we have to modify these types of checklists as per as the different handling techniques or the different materials are changed. Then the safety checklist may be related to the equipments. So that may be a pressure vessel, revolving and vibrating equipment. That may be a pumps and motors, or tanks, scrubbers, flares, effluent treatment plants, that is ETP. That may be a safety device. That may be a maintenance tools. That may be a PPE or FFE, that is firefighting equipment, or production related equipments, electrical equipments, power and energy requirement, store equipment, etc. So there are a variety of equipments which may be available in your factory or the plant. So for handling, for operating these types of equipment, we must go through a particular SOP. We must go through a precautionary measures or the guidance which is given by the expertise persons. Then unsafe work practices. So operating without authority, operations at unsafe speed, guards removed or made ineffective, use of defective tools or using unsafely, handling materials unsafely, standing or working under suspended load, open hatches, shafts or scaffolds, walking on railroad tracks, driving vehicles wrongly, etc. So these are the different wrong practices or unsafe practices that should be avoided, and for that purpose again we can add a specific checklist. Then specific points checklist, that may be involved a specific plant, that may be involved a specific process or a material. So some points which is not classified in above criteria or in above the checklist, that should be added in this specific point checklist. So that may be a plant layout, that may be a machine guarding, that may be a housekeeping, that may be a lighting and ventilation issues, that may be issues related to the fire, that may be a material handling practices or various processes which may be innovative practices, which may be a newer one, where the safety operating procedures are not available. Sometimes that may be engineering or textile or chemical processes, and all these are maybe a specific point checklist. So from these points you can understand there are many types of or variety of safety checklists are available in the. Then the next parameter is safety tag system.